Have you ever wondered why the world celebrates those who bloom early, while you sitting in the quiet corners of your own becoming feel forgotten by time itself? Perhaps you've watched others receive recognition, opportunities, and praise while you remained invisible, tending to wounds that others couldn't see, fighting battles that left no scars on your skin, but carved deep wisdom into your soul. If you've ever felt like life passed you by while you were still learning to breathe, this message is for you. Before we journey together into this truth, I ask you to like this video and subscribe to this channel. By the end of these words, you will not be the same person who began watching. Something within you will shift, awaken, and remember what it means to honor your own timing. So stay until the very end. There is a particular ache that belongs only to late bloomers, a silent suffering that the world neither sees nor understands. It lives in the space between who you are and who others expect you to have become by now. Napoleon Hill once wrote that every adversity carries with it the seed of an equivalent or greater benefit. But when you're living in the middle of that adversity, when you're watching your peers collect achievements like trophies while you're still excavating the debris of your past, those words can feel like hollow consolation. You see, late bloomer, your pain is not simply about timing. It runs deeper than missed opportunities or delayed success. It's the pain of being misunderstood by a world that mistakes your depth for slowness, your thoughtfulness for inadequacy, your careful cultivation of self for failure to thrive. Carl Jung understood this when he spoke of individuation, the process by which one becomes whole, integrated, authentically themselves. The privilege of a lifetime, Jung said, is to become who you truly are. But he never promised it would happen according to society's timeline. Your late blooming isn't a defect, it's archaeology. While others built their identities on the shifting sands of external validation, you were forced to dig deeper, to excavate the bedrock of your being. Every setback became a teacher. Every delay became a deepening. Every moment of feeling behind was actually a moment of going within. The world celebrates the sprint, but you, dear soul, were born for the pilgrimage. In the shadow of our achievement-obsessed culture lies a profound truth that Jung called the wounded healer. Your delays, your struggles, your seeming failures, these were not obstacles to your greatness. They were the very crucible in which your unique form of wisdom was forged. Think of the oak tree. It grows slowly, deliberately, sending roots deep into the earth long before it reaches toward the sky. While the bamboo shoots up quickly, impressive in its speed, it is the oak that weathers storms, that provides shelter for generations, that becomes legendary in its endurance. You are the oak, not the bamboo. Nietzsche wrote, "That which does not destroy me makes me stronger." But perhaps he should have said, "That which does not destroy me makes me deeper." For strength alone is not the gift of late bloomers. It is depth, wisdom, authenticity, and an unshakable knowing of self that comes only through the long, slow burn of becoming. Your timing was never wrong. The world's understanding of timing is what needs adjustment. From the moment we enter this world, we are handed a script written by others, a timeline of achievements that promises to validate our worth. Graduate by this age, achieve by that milestone, succeed by this deadline. Society functions like a massive clock, and we are taught to synchronize our becoming with its relentless ticking. But what happens to those whose souls operate on a different frequency? What happens to those whose wisdom cannot be rushed, whose gifts require seasons of preparation, whose purpose demands deep roots before visible growth? You happen, late bloomer. You happen, and the world calls it delay. Machiavelli, in his political wisdom, understood that power often comes to those who wait, who observe, who understand the terrain before making their move. "Everyone sees what you appear to be," he wrote. "Few experience what you really are." This is the hidden advantage of the late bloomer. While others perform their becoming publicly, you have had the luxury of becoming privately, authentically, without the corrupting influence of premature praise. Jung spoke of the persona, the mask we wear to meet the expectations of society. Early bloomers often become trapped by their personas, defined by early success, unable to evolve beyond the identity that brought them initial recognition. But you, late bloomer, had no early success to trap you. You were forced to go deeper, to find yourself beneath the masks, to build an identity rooted not in external achievements, but in internal truth. This is why your eventual flowering will be so profound, because it comes from soil that has been tilled by struggle, watered by tears, and warmed by the patient sun of self-acceptance. The conditioning runs deep. We are taught to measure our lives in comparison to others, to see our unique timeline as evidence of inadequacy rather than individuality. We internalize voices that say, by your age, you should have ... And we carry these voices like stones in our chest, weighing down the very spirit that is trying to rise. But what if these voices are lying? What if the very qualities that make you a late bloomer, your sensitivity, your depth, your refusal to settle for surface-level success, are actually your greatest strengths? Nietzsche spoke of the Mensch, the person who creates their own values rather than accepting those imposed by society. You, in your late blooming, are practicing this very philosophy. You are refusing to be defined by external timelines, choosing instead to honor your own rhythm of becoming. The world needs your particular form of wisdom, the kind that only comes from taking the long way home to yourself. Consider this. Those who bloom early often do so because they are responding to external pressure, conforming to societal expectations, achieving goals that others have deemed important. But your late blooming suggests something different, that you have been waiting for something more authentic to emerge, something that couldn't be rushed or forced or manufactured. You have been composting in the darkness, and now the richest soil of your being is ready to support whatever wants to grow. There comes a moment in every late bloomer's journey when the most radical act is not pushing forward, but pulling back. Not striving harder, but striving differently. Not proving yourself to the world, but proving yourself to yourself. Jung called this the night sea journey, the necessary descent into the darkness of our own psyche, where we confront not only our shadows, but also our authentic power. It is a journey that cannot be rushed, cannot be skipped, and cannot be understood by those who have never taken it. Your withdrawal from the world's timeline is not escape, it is pilgrimage. In a culture that equates stillness with stagnation, solitude with loneliness, and introspection with selfishness, choosing to step back requires immense courage. But this is where your transformation begins, not in the noise of competition, but in the silence of self-discovery. Napoleon Hill wrote about the power of organized thinking, but before thinking can be organized, the mind must be cleared of the debris of other people's expectations. Before you can think your own thoughts, you must first silence the chorus of voices telling you who you should be by now. This is the late bloomer's advantage. While others are busy performing their lives, you are busy living yours. Machiavelli understood strategic withdrawal. Everyone sees what you appear to be, he wrote. Few experience what you really are. Your withdrawal is not retreat, it is reconnaissance. You are gathering intelligence on yourself, mapping the terrain of your soul, identifying your true resources before you make your move. In this sacred space of unavailability, miraculous things begin to happen. The energy you once spent trying to keep up with others' timelines becomes available for your own growth. The attention you once gave to comparing yourself to peers becomes focused on understanding yourself. The pressure you once felt to bloom prematurely transforms into patience for your own organic unfolding. This is not isolation, this is incubation. Think of the butterfly in the chrysalis. From the outside, it appears to be doing nothing, inactive, perhaps even regressing. But inside that seemingly stagnant cocoon, the most extraordinary transformation is taking place. The caterpillar's entire structure is dissolving, reorganizing, becoming something entirely new. You are in your chrysalis, dear one. And the world's inability to see your transformation doesn't make it any less real. Nietzsche spoke of amor fati, love of fate, acceptance of one's path exactly as it is. Your late blooming is your fate, not your failure. It is the exact timing required for you to become who you are meant to be. To love your fate is to understand that every delay has been a gift, every setback a setup for something greater. In withdrawal, you discover that you are not behind, you are preparing. You are not failing, you are composting. You are not lost, you are finding yourself in the only way that truly matters. The world will wait for you. It always has, even when it seemed impatient. Your gifts, when they finally emerge, will arrive at precisely the right moment for precisely the right people who need them. This is the secret power of the late bloomer. Your timing is not your weakness, it is your wisdom. In the laboratory of your delayed becoming, something alchemical is happening. Jung spoke of this process as the opus contra naturae, the work against nature, where base metals of experience are transformed into the gold of wisdom. Your late blooming is not a delay, it is an alchemy. While others were busy performing their early successes, you were busy transforming your failures into understanding. While they collected accolades, you collected insights. While they built external empires, you were constructing internal kingdoms that no economic downturn, social change, or personal crisis could ever destroy. Napoleon Hill understood this when he wrote, "Every failure brings with it the seed of an equivalent success." But your late bloomer journey goes deeper than simple success. You are cultivating what Hill called definiteness of purpose, not borrowed from societal expectations, but birthed from your own authentic becoming. This is why your eventual emergence will be so powerful. It comes not from desperation to fit in, but from deep knowing of who you are. Machiavelli wrote, "The lion cannot defend himself against traps, and the fox cannot defend himself against wolves. Therefore, it is necessary to be a fox to discover the traps and a lion to terrify the wolves." Your late blooming has made you both cunning enough to see through society's false promises and strong enough to create your own path. You have learned the most valuable lesson of all, that external validation is a trap, and that true power comes from internal validation that cannot be shaken by others' opinions or stolen by changing circumstances. In your chrysalis of becoming, you have developed what Jung called psychological resilience, not the brittle strength of those who have never been broken, but the flexible strength of those who have been broken and chosen to heal into something more beautiful than they were before. Your sensitivity, which the world may have called weakness, has become your superpower. You feel deeply, therefore you understand deeply. You process slowly, therefore you process thoroughly. You respond carefully, therefore you respond authentically. The energy that once went into trying to keep up with others' timelines has been redirected into your own creative force. Like a river that has been dammed, the pressure has been building, and when it finally flows, it will have the power to move mountains. Nietzsche spoke of eternal recurrence, the idea that if you had to live your life exactly as it has been, over and over again, would you be able to say yes to every moment? Your late blooming journey has prepared you to answer that question with a resounding yes, because you understand that every delay was necessary, every struggle was purposeful, every moment of feeling behind was actually a moment of going deeper. You are not emerging despite your late blooming. You are emerging because of it. The world needs your particular form of leadership, the kind that comes not from rushing to the front, but from taking the time to understand what true leadership means. The kind that serves not from a need to be seen, but from a deep desire to see others clearly. The kind that creates not from ego, but from authenticity. Your late blooming has been your secret preparation for a form of impact that early bloomers simply cannot provide. As we reach the heart of this truth, I want you to sit with this question. What if your timing has been perfect all along? What if every moment you felt behind was actually a moment of being exactly where you needed to be? What if every delay was divine orchestration, not cosmic oversight? What if your late blooming is not your cross to bear, but your crown to wear? Jung wrote, "Your vision becomes clear when you look into your heart. Who looks outside, dreams. Who looks inside, awakens." Your late blooming forced you to look inside when the outside world offered little recognition. You awakened while others were still dreaming. This is the final secret of late bloomers. You don't just succeed, you succeed authentically. You don't just achieve, you achieve meaningfully. You don't just bloom, you bloom with the full wisdom of your journey encoded in every petal. Napoleon Hill spoke of the turning point in every person's life, the moment when they stop being victims of circumstance and become architects of their own destiny. For late bloomers, this turning point comes not with external recognition, but with internal realization. The realization that your timing was never wrong, only different. And different is exactly what the world needs. In a landscape of premature success and burnout, of shallow achievement and existential emptiness, your deep roots and authentic flowering offer something rare: sustainability, wisdom, and genuine inspiration for others who have also taken the long road home to themselves. Your late blooming is not your burden, it is your gift to the world. Machiavelli understood that true power comes not from rushing into battle, but from choosing your battles wisely. You have spent years not in delay, but in preparation. Not in failure, but in discernment. Not in falling behind, but in falling into yourself. And now, when you move with the accumulated wisdom of your journey. When you speak with the authenticity that can only come from having been silent long enough to hear your own voice. When you act from a place of such deep knowing that your actions carry the weight of truth. This is why late bloomers secretly win in the end, because when you finally bloom, you bloom completely, authentically, and irreversibly. No one can take your success away, because it is rooted not in external circumstances, but in internal truth. No one can diminish your impact, because it comes not from ego, but from essence. Nietzsche wrote, "Become who you are, not who others expect you to be, not who society demands you become, but who you authentically are." Your late blooming has been the long, beautiful process of becoming who you are. And who you are is exactly who the world has been waiting for. So I leave you with this sacred question to carry in your heart. If your journey has been perfectly timed to prepare you for your unique purpose, if your delays have been exactly what was needed to develop your particular gifts, if your late blooming is actually early arrival for your true calling, then what becomes possible when you fully embrace your timing instead of fighting it? The answer to that question is your becoming. The answer to that question is your gift to the world. The answer to that question is why late bloomers like you don't just survive. You thrive in ways that early bloomers never could. Your time is not coming. Your time is here, and it has been worth the wait. The journey inward must eventually become a journey outward. But when late bloomers finally emerge from their chrysalis of becoming, they carry something precious that cannot be manufactured or rushed: integrated wisdom. Jung spoke of individuation as the ultimate goal of human development, not just knowing yourself, but becoming yourself so completely that your very existence becomes a gift to the collective unconscious of humanity. This is what your late blooming has prepared you for. Not just personal success, but soul-level service. You see, the world is full of people who achieved early, but struggled to find meaning in their achievements. They reached the mountaintop quickly, only to discover it was the wrong mountain. But you, dear late bloomer, took the time to make sure you were climbing the right peak. When you finally reach your summit, you will know it is yours. Napoleon Hill wrote that the way of success is the way of continuous pursuit of knowledge. Your late blooming has been exactly this, a continuous pursuit of self-knowledge that now becomes the foundation for your contribution to the world. Your emergence is not just about you anymore. It's about everyone who has ever felt behind, everyone who has ever questioned their timing, everyone who has ever wondered if their sensitivity was a strength or a weakness. You become living proof that there are many ways to bloom, and that the late bloomers often bloom most beautifully. In your integration, you discover that your journey was never just personal, it was archetypal. You have walked the hero's journey not for fame or recognition, but for the wisdom that can only come from taking a long way home to yourself. And now, that wisdom becomes medicine for others who are still walking their own long roads. This is the ultimate victory of the late bloomer. Your success serves not just yourself, but becomes a beacon of hope for everyone who has ever felt too slow, too sensitive, too deep, too different for this world. You bloom not despite your timing, but because of it. And in blooming, you give permission for others to honor their own unique seasons of becoming. The world needs your particular form of late blooming wisdom. It always has. It was just waiting for you to be ready to share it. And now, finally, beautifully, authentically you are.